Real stories are the backbone of Live Well, Build Well. By sharing real stories, we aim to inspire and uplift our community. Here's another tradie story we wanted to share with you.
You've got to keep growing and you've got to keep learning and ducking and diving, because life ain't easy. What can I do to make a difference today that I wasn't doing yesterday? When you're disciplined, it doesn't matter if it's rain, hail or shine, you're going to get up and go ahead. My background was in the 80s. I was an apprentice plumber, qualified there, and I've been in and out of construction probably for the last 25, 30 years. I have three portfolios. One is working with schools, that's the Gateway and Careers projects, and it's really fascinating actually finding out what young students want to get out of trades. The second stage of it is actually giving them the tools that will assist companies to make good decisions when they're about to basically take the leap and actually look at a young person as an apprentice for their company. And the final part for that is the health and safety side. We've actually developed some programs now for students to understand what is the profile of health and safety, what do they need, do they understand about drug and alcohol and what it can do and what it does, but also the other side of how do I set goals, how do I accept feedback, and how do I stop myself from being overly critical on things that they can't do. And the biggest key is learning how to communicate. I was managing a friend's plumbing company, and we had some gnarly old plumbers that were really making it tough for the young apprentices. What I had to do was actually sit down and have those difficult conversations with them and say, right, imagine if this was your son. How would you want your son to be treated? And they looked at me and they, oh, you're not being fair. And I said, no, I am being fair, because this is someone's son and you're treating them like rubbish. Have you looked at the skill set that they have? What I got the older ones to realise was, look, what am I chasing you for most of the time? Oh, all the information that you need to put on the tablet. Right, well, those kids have those skills. Why don't we look at ways of how they can punch that data in, but in reverse, you need to start sharing and downloading the information that you have to our apprentices. And I said, imagine if we could download all the good stuff in your head and put it into those young people, they would become super tradies. Once we got over that fear of that these kids are going to take their jobs, and that's a very real thing for a lot of our older generation to understand and actually make peace with, and they have some real nuggets of gold. And then then I had to actually train up our young ones to turn around and say, look, yes, he is gnarly, yes, he can be moody, but I said, look after him, pick up his tool bags, do the things that he shouldn't be doing, and look after him as if he's the mad uncle. And once we got those relationships right, they became super tight. And you know, when some of our older plumbers actually retired, the amount of tears and goodbye stories that were shared when these people actually left was fantastic. I think resilience is, well, what it means to me is I'm a bit of a gym nut, so I've done it probably for the last 35, 40 years, where you need to wake up, you've got to be disciplined. I said that, the difference between discipline and motivation is when you're motivated, it depends on your emotional state. When you're disciplined, it doesn't matter if it's rain, hail or shine, you're going to get up and go ahead. I lived my life by a concept of a Japanese principle called Kaizen, which is the 1%ers. Right, what can I do to make a difference today that I wasn't doing yesterday? I suppose the key thing for me is it's like being a boxer, stay in the fight, because you never know when you can actually land that punch. And you've got to stay there, and you've got to keep growing, and you've got to keep learning and ducking and diving, because life ain't easy. I put a lot of time back into rugby. I've been fortunate enough to come back to Auckland and come back to my home club of Marist. So I help the coaches of under 21s, our Prem Bs, and also our Prem side, but actually analysing their performance, analysing the young guys. And I find by being around good quality people, it actually puts energy back into me. Behind every good man is a great woman. I'm extremely fortunate that I have a partner of nearly 30 years. She knows me in and out. She knows me probably better than I do. She knows the triggers. I'm also very open with communication. If I'm not feeling things If it's not going that well, I'll actually share it with others. And most of the time, especially in men in that environment, if we actually open up and talk to others, it actually gives them an indicator of what's going on. And sometimes, if you're being open and honest and share, other men will come forward. I think the key part there is good planning, and the second stage of that is good communication. What does good communication look like? Well, it's actually clarity. It's actually getting the whole team to understand what's expected, and from a daily point of view to a weekly point of view to a monthly point of view, and 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. So then they actually become part of the process and understand their key role in that development. What I love about construction is the ability to actually start with something or with nothing and then turn it into something, especially when you're dealing with customers or building someone's dream home. Open up, talk. You'd be surprised the amount of people that when you talk and share and hear their stories, that you realise sometimes you're better off, and then sometimes you can add value, and a lot of times they'll add value to you. Be open, be honest, and at the end of the day, stay humble, stay grounded, and do what you love.